How to know when it's time to move on. Hello, beautiful people, and welcome back to the Happily Committed channel. If this is your first time on the channel, welcome. If you have been part of the community for quite some time, welcome back. In case you do not know who I am, my name is Danny, and I am one of the head coaches here at the Happily Committed project, as well as the With My Ex Again project. And you've probably seen me on some of the videos on the Love Advice TV channel. So what are we talking about today? As I mentioned in the beginning of the video, we are talking about ways in which to know that it is time to move on from your relationship. And I know this is one of those subjects that is obviously a hot button subject, because if you are in a position where you are really trying to figure out whether you should stay or you should go, you're in an incredibly vulnerable state. And I empathize with you because I know how difficult that can be. I have worked with many, 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 many clients before in the same situation. Everybody's situation is different, right? It's all subjective. And the pain that you're feeling and the confusion that you're feeling, as abnormal as it may feel, at this point, it's pretty normal for where you are currently at, and you are not the only person that has gone through this, so you are not alone. So, what are some of the signs? What are some of the things you should be looking for when making the decision of moving on or not, right? And the first thing that you want to take into consideration is there a lack of respect in the relationship, right? So when you look at the relationship as a whole, and when you think about the history that you guys have shared, the memories that you have created, the dynamic that you once had, are those things still present, right? Because respect is multi-layered. I think a lot of people think of respect in general, generally speaking, like you just treat each other with kindness and you are fully understanding of that person at all times. And that is part of what respect entails. However, it's multi-layered. There's many different types of respect and how to show respect. So if your partner no longer cares about your opinions or the way you think about things, if they are constantly challenging you on your perspective or your mindset, if there is foul language that's being used, if they are mistreating you verbally, physically, mentally, if they look at you with contempt or they treat you with contempt because there, again, is just kind of a lack of connection there. Those are all things to be aware of, to be consciously aware of. When you respect somebody, it means that you care to understand their perspective, where they come from, their ideologies, and you accept them for who they are. So if you feel like you are no longer being accepted for who you are, that is something to really think about. The second thing is indifference, right? When I am evaluating a relationship and I'm saying to myself, okay, is this something that is fixable or is this something that is not fixable, right? The one thing that I take a look at is there indifference within the relationship? Has that set in? And indifference is basically when you do not have any feelings either way, right? So you're no longer upset about things and you're also no longer excited about things. You kind of just shut off and you disconnect completely. And if you were to walk away from the relationship right now, your partner might just kind of be like, okay, right? The reason why I say that's something to be on to pay attention to is if your partner is angry or frustrated or resentful, those are all feelings that are stemming from actually caring for you, right? Because if they didn't care, they wouldn't have those feelings. They wouldn't have those reactions. So I can work with anger and frustration and resentment and all those types of things. But if there is indifference where there is just zero feelings and they don't really care either way, that's a difficult position to be in, because it's at that point, how do you regrow feelings? How do you reattract an individual that has completely disconnected. So at that point, it's really about taking into consideration how to navigate and how to approach that. If that's something that you feel is happening currently in your relationship, I get it. I've been there before myself, and I have also worked with many clients that are in a similar situation. If you feel like you need support with that, if you feel like you need a little bit more information, I'm more than happy to help you with that. I would actually recommend booking a one-on-one coaching session in order to really be able to navigate the situation because, again, every person's relationship is different. Every situation is subjective. Every person's situation is subjective, right? It's the experience that you are feeling, and it can be incredibly confusing. So if you feel like you need guidance, if you feel like you need help, I am telling you a one-on-one coaching session is something that I would highly recommend so that we can work through the situation together and I can provide you with recommendations based on your specific situation. It has helped and worked with so many people in the past. That being said, the next thing that we want to take a look at and take into consideration when you're deciding whether you should be moving on from the relationship or not is gaslighting. And if you are unfamiliar with what gaslighting means or what it is, it basically, in short, it means your partner is blaming you for everything, right? It does not matter what you do. It does not matter what you say. It does not matter if they are in the wrong. Everything is being turned around and twisted so that it is your fault. You are the person to blame because of X, Y, and Z, right? The reason for why they feel the way that they do is because you did this, or the reason for why you are feeling the way that you are is because you're doing it to yourself because you are acting in a very particular way. And what that actually does long term is that breaks down your self-confidence. That breaks down your understanding of who you are as a person, and you start to lose yourself because at some point, right, if you are wanting to stay in the relationship and you are wanting to make it work, you are at your most vulnerable state. And if your partner is convincing you that you are at fault for 99% of the issues within the relationship, you are going to start to believe them. And when you start to believe them, it starts to erode your confidence and your self-identity. So be very consciously aware of how your partner is navigating these conflicts. If they are taking accountability for their actions, if they are acknowledging when they are wrong, if they are apologizing when they are wrong, because if they are not doing any of that and they're putting everything on you, you're probably in a situation where you're being gaslit. And that is something to take into consideration, and that is something to really evaluate and reflect on, because that is not something that should be happening in a healthy relationship. And the last one is stonewalling. And again, if you are unfamiliar with what stonewalling means, it basically means your partner is not wanting to have any conversations about anything, right? So you may be wanting to resolve conflict. You may be wanting to get something off of your chest. You may be seeking some validation in a particular situation or circumstance, and they're unwilling to hear it. Right? They don't want to talk about it. They are completely avoidant. Anything that you have to say to them about the relationship, about them, about how you are feeling, not a priority. That is stonewalling, right? Because you feel like you're hitting a brick wall every time you try to have a conversation. And the key to a healthy, long-lasting relationship at its core is communication. Fundamentally being able to share how you are feeling and what your thoughts are, your perspective on things, and being heard and understood. And even if they don't understand, at least taking the time and investing the energy in trying to understand, and then maybe you agree to disagree. But if none of that is happening and you feel like you are getting nowhere and there's no resolution in sight, again, something that I would take a look at, and I highly recommend sitting back and reevaluating whether this relationship is right for you or not. Now, when it comes to making this decision, it really just kind of depends on where you are at in your life. Are you willing to invest more time in trying to make the relationship work? Do you want to walk away from the relationship knowing that you tried everything possible so that you do not have any regrets? I get that. I understand that. because you have already envisioned a future with this person and it's starting to fade, or maybe it faded a long time ago and you're hoping that there can be some kind of revival of that hope, of that image that you created, of that life that you wanted. If that is something obviously that you are really wanting to try, I understand. And I recommend trying, right? Because I don't want you to have any regrets towards the end of anything. And the truth of the matter is that these things that I mentioned, right? So the lack of respect, indifference, gaslighting, stonewalling, all of those things may be present, or there may be a variation of those things, right? Maybe two of those things are present, or one of those things are present. So really take a step back and evaluate how many of those things are present. And if it's only one thing, that's workable, right? That's something that you can manage and navigate and try to fix to a certain degree, right? But if all of those things are present, it may be time to consider moving on from the relationship. But again, if you are not sure and you feel stuck and you feel lost, I am here to help you. I'm here to guide you. I am more than happy to support you through this situation and answer any questions that you may have. So to make your life a little easier, I will provide a link in the description box down below with all the information that you need in order to book your one-on-one coaching session. I would also highly recommend our training for moving on. It is something that we created specifically for this type of situation. And again, just to make your life a little bit easier, I am more than happy to provide you with the link to that product down below as well. Again, my name is Danny. I'm your life and relationship coach. I hope you guys are staying happy and healthy, and I'll see you guys on the next video.